Ladies and gentlemen, saints and seekers, there comes a moment in life, a divine intersection where the soul gets tired of walking in circles, where the mind grows weary of limitations, and the heart begins to cry out, there's got to be more right than this. I came to tell somebody today, yes, you, that your next breakthrough will not come through wishing. It won't come through waiting. It will come through wisdom. You see, we live in a world that teaches us to chase success, but not to cultivate substance. We're surrounded by noise, but starved for knowledge. And yet the Bible tells us, in all they're getting GT understanding. Oh, I feel like preaching already. If you want to walk in purpose, if you want to rise above your past, if you want to access the power God has planted inside of you, then you must. Hear me now. You MUST become a lifelong student, not just of books, but of life. Not just of facts, but of TRUTH. Tell your neighbor, educate yourself every day, because your mind is the gateway to your destiny. And if the enemy can keep you ignorant, he can keep you bound. But the devil is a liar. Today we break the chains of complacency. Today we challenge the comfort zone. Today we commit to learning, because learning is the ladder that lifts you from where you are to where you're called to be. So buckle up, open your heart, and get ready, because we're about to unlock the door to your potential. Your mind is not just a vessel, it is a garden, and every thought, every lesson, every experience is a seed. The question is not if you're planting, but what you're planting. Some people go through life allowing weeds of doubt, fear, and distraction to take root. They let the opinions of others become the fertilizer for failure. But if you want to unlock your true potential, you must become intentional about what you sow into your mind. Education isn't just about a classroom or a degree. It's about feeding your mind the kind of knowledge that transforms, renews, and awakens purpose. You see, whatever you consistently plant will eventually grow. If you feed your mind wisdom, if you water it with truth, if you expose it to growth and positive instruction, then you will produce the fruit of excellence. But if you neglect it, if you let ignorance, laziness, and distraction grow wild, then don't be surprised when your life looks overrun by chaos. The harvest doesn't lie. Your habits are planting something, whether you realize it or not. We don't always have control over the soil we were born into, but we do have power over the seeds we plant. You may have come from brokenness, from a background where education wasn't valued, where learning was a luxury and not a lifestyle. But every day is a new opportunity to dig, to till, to sow differently. What you feed your mind today will frame your future tomorrow. And just like any good garden, your mind needs protection. You can't let just anybody walk through it with dirty feet. You can't allow gossip, toxic media, or negativity to stomp on what you're trying to grow. Be selective, be disciplined, be faithful in tending to your mental soil, because your destiny depends on it. This is not about information, it's about transformation. When you commit to planting purpose-driven knowledge every single day, you position yourself for a harvest that will blow your mind. Ignorance is not just the absence of information, it is a weapon the enemy uses to keep you small, stuck, and silent. When you don't know who you are, you'll believe what others say about you. When you don't know what's inside of you, you'll settle for what's around you. And when you don't understand the power of knowledge, you'll remain a prisoner in a cage that was never locked. The real enemy isn't always a person or a situation. It's the blind spots in your understanding. The devil doesn't have to destroy you if he can just distract you from learning. Because when you stop learning, you stop leading. When you stop growing, you start decaying. Ignorance doesn't look like rebellion. It looks like routine. It looks like doing the same way and expecting a different result. It looks like choosing comfort over curiosity and survival over strategy. That's why education isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. Every time you pick a book, ask a question, or expose yourself to something new, you are waging war against the spirit of ignorance. You are declaring that you refuse to be average. You are announcing that your destiny is too great to walk in the dark. Some of the battles you're fighting aren't spiritual. They're educational. Some of the doors that open aren't locked. They're coded with knowledge you haven't accessed yet. That business you want to start, that purpose you want to pursue, that healing you are praying for, it may not require power. It may require more wisdom. The Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge, not for lack of passion, not for lack of prayer, but for lack of knowledge. That means ignorance is not just a disadvantage, it's a threat. The beautiful thing about learning is that it isn't limited by age, background, or circumstance. You can come from the bottom and still rise to the top if you're willing to learn what others avoid. You can redeem time, rewrite your narrative, and walk in rooms you once felt unworthy of if you make it your mission to outgrow ignorance every single day. So don't wait for someone to hand you the answers. Go seek them. Go pursue them. Go study until ignorance can no longer keep its grip on your life. Because every ounce of truth you gain is one more chain broken off your future. Learning is not an event, it's a lifestyle. It's not something you graduate from, it's something you grow into. Too many people treat education like a season. They learn for a test, for a degree, for a job interview, and then they stop. But true growth doesn't come from occasional exposure. It comes from consistent pursuit. Just like you can't eat one meal and expect to be nourished for life, you can't learn one thing and think you've arrived. Life is constantly evolving, and if you're not learning, you're falling behind. The people who rise, who lead, who influence are not necessarily the most talented, they are the most teachable. There is a hunger that separates the great from the good, and that hunger is the desire to keep learning, to lean in when others check out, to ask questions when others assume they already know. The most powerful people are not the ones who always have the answers, but the ones who never stop seeking them. Learning as a lifestyle means you see every situation as a classroom, every failure as a lesson, every conversation as a chance to grow. It's not about collecting facts. It's about cultivating perspective. It's about building the kind of wisdom that doesn't just inform, but transforms. You can't grow past what you refuse to learn. Some people pray for change, but reject the process that brings it. You want peace, but you won't learn emotional maturity. You want purpose, but you won't study discipline. You want favor, but you're ignoring wisdom. Learning is not optional. It is foundational. It will stretch you, humble you, and even offend your ego at times. But that's how you know it's working. Growth doesn't always feel good, but it always brings good fruit. The moment you think you've learned enough is the moment you start to decline, because life will keep moving forward with or without your permission. The question is, will you be ready for what's next? Will your mind be sharp enough, your heart open enough, your spirit mature enough to handle the doors God wants to open? If not, it won't be a lack of opportunity that holds you back. It will be a lack of preparation. That's why you must make learning a lifestyle. Read, listen, observe, reflect, be curious, be teachable, be open. Every day you commit to learning, you are building the mental muscle to carry the weight of your next level. Every day you learn, you break a limit off your life. You see, we're not just fighting external battles. We're wrestling with internal ceilings. These are the invisible boundaries that tell you you can't go further. You're not smart enough. You weren't raised for this. Or this is as far as people like you get to go. But the moment you learn something new, whether it's a skill, a truth, a strategy, or even a hard lesson, you crack that ceiling just a little more. Learning stretches you. It expands your thinking. It disrupts the limitations you were taught to live within. Many of the walls we face are not physical. They're mental. They're the result of years of conditioning, tradition, fear, or failure. But here's the true thing: you cannot unlock a new level of life with the same old mindset. Every time you open yourself to growth, every time you take in knowledge that challenges your comfort zone, you are literally stepping into a larger version of yourself. The greatest breakthroughs don't always come from miracles. They come from moments of understanding. That light bulb that goes off when something finally makes sense. That's not just clarity, that's liberation. Some people are stuck not because they're cursed, but because they stopped learning. They got a job and stopped studying. They got married and stopped growing. They got comfortable and stopped reaching, but life will always rise to the level of your understanding. You want more, then know more. Learn what your parents didn't teach you. Learn what your environment never exposed you to. Learn the principles that unlock finances, relationships, healing leadership, whatever it is that has felt out of reach. Every piece of wisdom you gain is like a key unlocking another door. There is no such thing as neutral in the journey of growth. You're either pushing forward or sliding back. You're either breaking limits or reinforcing them. When you choose to learn every day, you're saying to every generational curse, every internal fear, every external barriering, you will not stop me. You are declaring that ignorance will not be your inheritance, that stagnation will not be your story. You are taking ownership of your future, one lesson at a time. Growth is not about elevation. It's about liberation. And education is the tool God gives you to walk in that freedom daily. The more you know, the more you grow, spiritually, mentally, and purposefully. Knowledge is not just for the mind, it is food for the soul, fuel for the spirit, and direction for your purpose. When you begin to fill yourself with truth, understanding, and divine wisdom, something powerful begins to shift inside of you. Your prayers become deeper, your decisions become wiser, and your vision becomes clearer. You stop wandering and start walking in alignment. Because knowledge doesn't just inform, it transforms. It takes you from confusion to clarity, from hesitation to confidence, from survival to significance. Growth is the natural response to truth. When light hits darkness, things start to move. When revelation hits your spirit, stagnation has to go. That's why the enemy doesn't mind you being busy. He minds you being informed. He doesn't want you in environments where your mind is challenged and your spirit is stretched, because once you start growing, you become a threat. The more you learn about God's promises, the less you fall for the lies of the world. The more you understand your own identity, the less you chase validation from others. Knowledge doesn't puff you up. It builds you up. It gives your faith foundation, your dreams direction, and your purpose power. But growth is not automatic. It is intentional. You have to seek it, pursue it, prioritize it. You have to surround yourself with wisdom, silence distractions, and stay teachable, because every step of growth requires the surrender of what you used to think. As your mind expands, your life must expand with it. You'll begin to notice that your standards change, your circle changes, even your conversations change. That's what happens when your spirit is evolving. You stop feeding on surface things and start hungering for depth. The more you learn, the less content you are with anything shallow, fake, or empty. Your purpose is waiting for the version of you that's willing to grow into it. You can't fulfill a divine calling with a limited mindset. You can't carry greatness while clinging to ignorance. That's why learning must become a daily pursuit, because destiny demands it. Every piece of truth you gain draws you closer to who you're meant to be. It's not just about knowledge for the sake of knowledge. It's about becoming the person who can carry the weight of the calling. Your growth is not for applause. It's for assignment. And every time you commit to learning, you are saying yes, not just to knowledge, but to transformation, maturity, and divine alignment.